Hello everyone, and welcome to the first of a three-part series on reforms to the AIFMD and UCITS frameworks, which have recently been signed into law and which will apply to Irish management companies, or ManCos, from Q2 2026. My name is Etain Valera, and I am a partner and the head of the Dillon Eustace Asset Management and Investment Funds team. I am joined today by my colleague Shane Coveney, a partner in that team. Today, our focus is on the changes being made to the delegation arrangements under these reforms and how such changes may impact on Irish ManCos, which currently delegate certain activities to entities located both within and outside of the EU. We will also consider some of the changes to the reporting required of Irish ManCos under the new regime. Shane, if we start with resourcing, will there be any significant changes to the minimum substance requirements that must be observed by Irish ManCos under the new regime?
Thanks, Etain, and hello, everyone. I think the first point worth mentioning is that the new framework does not introduce a wholesale revision of the existing delegation arrangements. Instead, it focuses on strengthening the existing rules and increasing the supervision by ESMA and the competent authorities of such delegation arrangements. On resourcing, the new framework introduces a mandatory requirement for ManCos to employ or engage at least 2 persons on a full-time basis who must be resident within the EU. In an Irish context, the introduction of this requirement is unlikely to have any real impact on staffing arrangements, as the central bank already requires Irish management companies to have at least 3 full-time employees. Generally speaking, and based on our recent experiences, it also requires designated persons and those performing other key roles to be based in Ireland.
So what are the most impactful changes being made to the delegation rules under the new regime?
I think the most significant change to the existing framework relates to the level of information that Irish ManCos will have to provide the central bank on their delegation arrangements. Under the new framework, ManCos have to provide quite detailed information on investment management delegation and subdelegation arrangements. This includes, for example, the amount and percentage of AUM which are subject to delegation arrangements, the number of staff within the Irish ManCo itself carrying out the investment management role and activities, and separately, the number of its staff who are tasked with overseeing such delegation arrangements. Presumably, this is to understand the breakdown of staff involved in actually performing the investment management function and those responsible for overseeing a delegate investment manager. We've already seen this as an area of focus for the Central Bank of Ireland on a domestic level. In December 2023, it issued a survey on delegation to all Irish ManCos to complete, which involved them providing very detailed information on resourcing, both within the ManCo itself and the investment management delegate. I think one of the more interesting reporting requirements introduced under the new regime is the obligation to provide the central bank with information on due diligence reviews carried out by the ManCos, on the delegate investment managers and the date of such reviews. Under the new rules, they are required to provide the central bank with information on issues identified as part of the review, measures which are being taken to address those issues, and the time frame within which the implementation of those kind of measures to address the issues will be taken. Obviously, to date, Irish management companies will have performed due diligence reviews. There's been no obligation to provide detailed information on such reviews to the central bank. ESMA is now tasked with preparing the more prescriptive rules on that and what will be needed to be reported to the central bank and the frequency of such reporting. So we will need to see what type of notification framework it creates under the delegated acts. I think this is definitely one area of the reforms which Irish ManCos will watch closely to see what the finalised rules contain.
And do we have any sense for what the central bank will do with all this information?
The information will then be shared by the central bank with ESMA, which will then be used by ESMA to provide the European Commission with a reliable overview of the delegation activities within the EU. This could influence the direction of travel for policy reforms if, for example, the European Commission determines that based on the information it receives, the delegation model is not working as intended or in the best interests of investors. Depending on their findings, this could see the EU institutions revisiting, for example, the minimum resources requirements applicable to management companies.
Is there anything else of note in the area of delegation under the reforms?
One other area of interest is the introduction of the enhanced conflicts of interest rules for third-party mancos. Under the new rules, such management companies will be required to submit detailed explanations and evidence to the central bank as to how they have managed any conflicts of interest arising.
So we have discussed changes to the reporting regime in the context of delegation activities. What other changes are being made to the reporting requirements under the new framework?
Well, firstly, the reporting regime applicable to AIFMs and UCITS management companies will be aligned, as UCITS management companies will be, for the first time, required to report to their national competent authority on the markets and instruments that they use and trade. Under the new regime, we will also see an enhancement of the standardization of reporting. Duplications and inconsistencies between the reporting frameworks in the asset management sector and other sectors of the financial industry will also be removed. ESMA is now responsible for preparing a revised Annex 4 reporting template to replace the existing template currently used by AIFMs, and must also prepare an equivalent reporting template for UCITS management companies. Therefore, we hope that the new regime will result in a more streamlined reporting framework for both categories of management company.
Thank you, Shane. And thank you to everyone for joining us. We hope you found our conversation helpful, and please just visit our website to access the other 2 episodes in our series on reforms to the AIFMD and UCITS frameworks.